Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I have another process video creating a spread in this art journal that I am keeping for the Get Messy season of release and return. If you caught my previous video, you would have seen the whole kind of kit that I'm using and the color scheme and like the setup for it. I decided in that previous video that I was going to, I guess, keep the focus of this art journal around some words, some things that I wrote in a blog post this year. I think maybe back in April-ish time. And I kind of went through that blog post and took out some things that I wrote and kind of made it into like almost like a poem almost. I kind of just took out phrases and then put them in an order that made sense. And so that's what you see me doing here is kind of ripping out the phrase for this particular spread that I'll be working on. And yeah, I just kind of printed them all off on a sheet so that it's all uniformed and typed and everything looks the same. And basically each spread is going to be one of these phrases, one of the sentences from this kind of makeshift poem that I kind of compiled from a longer piece of writing that I had. And the blog post was all about the and space between holding on and letting go. And so that's sort of the theme of this art journal particularly. I did title it in the beginning Between Holding On and Letting Go, because that's the first thing that came to mind when I thought about the season of release and return, is just sort of my struggle this year with holding on to things that I should be letting go of, and just kind of within that and space between the two of them. And just, I love the idea of like when you finally release something that you can return. And when I think about returning, I think more of like you're returning to yourself. And so that is basically what this art journal is going to be about. And this particular spread is going to be a very short and quick one. So right off the bat, I knew I wanted to use one of these floral pieces. I believe I cut this out of a magazine. I want to say it was a Daphne's Diary magazine, but it's basically, I believe this flower is lavender. I think this is, it's a lavender, it's an illustration of lavender. I knew right off the bat that I wanted to use one of them or both of them on this particular spread. And so what I begin doing is just prepping the spread, the 2 pages here, and I'm just using a bit of white gesso to do that, only because I'm not actually sure how well this paper will take the mediums like ink and stuff, and so I prefer prepping them. And then I also kind of wanted to mute the text on this paper a bit. It's all written in, I believe it's Chinese. I love the characters, I love how it looks, but I just didn't want it to be so harsh, you know, like the focal point of it. I kind of want it to be a little bit muted, and I love gesso because you can put down thin layers of it and you can still see the words in the background. And on the top left corner of the left side, the left page, it says Simple Quiet. I don't know what that was supposed to mean in regards to this booklet, but I like that word quiet, and I kind of wanted that to show too, because the phrase that I am using for this particular spread is about learning, learning the process of letting go. And then in parentheses I have and the practice of stillness, because I forget exactly what I wrote in my blog post, but I know both of them have a correlation to each other, and these are both practices that I personally needed to know and that I personally needed to learn. And I think the idea of just letting go, of releasing something, you have to be okay. You have to be okay with kind of letting that stuff go. And honestly, you have to be okay with sitting in the silence of it, in the stillness, right? Because you no longer have that thing that kind of you're holding on to or you're being preoccupied by. You have to sit in the quietness of it no longer being here. And so I kind of kept that line in there as well. And so I really liked that simple, quiet phrase on that corner there. But yeah, so I kind of start off this page. I honestly didn't know how I was going to incorporate those flowers. I knew I needed something. I needed something to ground the phrase in. And so I pulled out a bunch of my papers. I really wanted to use this blue tissue paper, this piece that kind of it was already cut this way or torn this way, and it fit perfectly across the two pages. And so I do end up using that, but I decide before I do that just to put down some paint and see where that goes. And this is a lot of my process. It's just doing things and just seeing how it goes. The joy for me of art journaling is that paper is forgiving and you can just cover it up, right? And so I put down a layer, a very thick layer of this Titan Violet Pale, and then I'm taking a pencil and basically writing out like what I typed up on like in the phrase. I actually wrote it a little differently. So in the pencil, I wrote, "I'm learning to let go." And then the next line, I write, "The art of letting go and the practice of stillness," just to emphasize that stillness. And I'm just like literally writing it through the paint. So the paint is all wet and the tip of my pencil is getting all gunky because of that. But I just like the look of that. It just, and then when it dries, you can like see it and it has like a texture to it. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. And so now I'm trying to figure out where to place this tissue paper, and I do end up placing it right there, that first position on the top. And I love using tissue paper. I'm using it here with a glue stick normally to get the similar effect and the way that I normally do it. I was just being lazy and didn't want to grab my matte medium. I would use matte medium. So I just kind of glue it down with the glue stick, and then you'll see that I do eventually go over it with just water and a paintbrush, so that way the tissue kind of blends in to the paper, like the actual surface better. And I love the texture that sometimes you get with tissue paper that kind of crinkles, and I just love that it just dissolves into the background so effortlessly, and it's just really pretty. And so here I am trying to figure out how to use these florals, and I wanted to use both of them, but I think I settle on just using the one just to frame the writing, the where I have the writing. And I was just playing around with different pieces of paper. A lot of the paper bits I don't actually end up using. I keep this spread quite simple. Again, that simple, quiet sentiment at the top, but I do keep it really simple. So if you see me here ripping phrases and things, that's just me just trying to figure stuff out, and it just didn't happen. And so I do end up doing some scribbles because I knew I wanted to put that floral there, and so I needed to be grounded in something. And so I just kind of put scribbles there, and then I do believe I end up using my Payne's Gray Caran d'Ache crayon to add some marks as well. But I go back and forth and I play around with just so many different things because I really didn't know what to do on this spread, and what I did have, it felt very empty, and very quiet and very, there's just a lot of space, very minimal, I guess you can say. And that really wasn't my aim, but that's just kind of how it happened, and what it ended up what it ended up being. So yeah, I'm just going down my floral here, and you saw that I'm making some marks, and so I do a couple of marks about the page just to add a bit more interest to everything. And then of course I go in with my trusty white acrylic ink, and this bottle is kind of emptying out a bit, and so I'm just doing my splatters. And I just like adding these sorts of splatters because for me they seem to again, ground everything together. Like it tends to pull all the pieces together in a way, and that makes it seem finished. So I always love the ink splatters. White, my favorite, because it's light and it's bright and it's not as stark because it sort of blends in, especially with this pastel background. But that's pretty much the spread here. I just kind of finish it off by gluing down my phrases here, which again is I'm in the process of learning the art of letting go and the practice of stillness. And that's basically how I keep the spread. And so that is pretty much the process here. I really hope you enjoyed this little quick one. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I will see you all in the next video. Bye, friends.